welcome to the Terror Express. My name is Jason Bradford. I am your conductor today. And today we have Theresa Tilly, a.k.a. Sarah York, from the original Evil Dead film. Hello, Theresa. Welcome to the Terror.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. So glad to have you as a passenger here for this ride. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm not having the terrible weather that apparently you are.
I am, yes.
Yeah, it's snowing in the mountains, and I don't live in the mountains. Yeah,
it's icy in Detroit. Detroit had a really bad ice storm last night, and we are still in the wake of that mess.
Wow.
Speaking of Detroit, so you're a native, correct? You were born in Detroit, raised in Detroit?
I am a native. I grew up in a little area around Belle Isle. I don't know if you're familiar with Belle Isle.
I've heard of Belle Isle. I've never been there.
So that's what we used to call the East Side. So I grew up on the East Side. Yeah, we'd ice skate on the canals near the river. I don't know if you know about that, but there's an area that a lot of the canals come out from the Detroit River, and we used to live over there. So, East Side, and then we moved to West Bloomfield in the late 60s. So, 69.
Nice. What was your favorite thing about living in Detroit back in those years?
Oh, we lived in a really great little neighborhood where we all went to the same school, and it was a tiny, village-like environment, and
nice.
had a lot of friends. Yeah, it was really, really fun, easy to get downtown. We just hop on the bus and go downtown. We'd get on Jefferson and go to downtown, and it was really easy.
Betsy talked a little bit about her interview on DeQuinder, so that is something that I have a question for you in a little bit too. Use your audition process. If that was in Detroit or not. Actually, you know what? I'll ask you now. Betsy described her audition process as kind of creepy from first impression. She met some strangers in a restaurant, and they invited her to their basement to audition.
Right.
Obviously, it ended up being a great move. But what was your audition process for Evil Dead?
It wasn't as much fun as Betsy had in the restaurant where they were blowing straws at each other. But
yes.
I also was down in Sam Raimi's mother's basement, and it was unique. You know, I have to say, Betsy and I, none of us had ever done a feature film before. I had done a lot of theater and puppet shows, and I used to do a show at the State Fair for kids and commercials, but I had never done a feature. So I just was so enthralled with the idea that I was going to be in a feature film. I didn't even think about it. It's in his mom's basement. I just didn't think about it. So now, telling the story, it does sound like, what was I thinking? But, back then.
This was back in the early 80s, correct? I know the movie was released early 80s. Was that also around the same time the audition came, or was this years before the movie?
I think we auditioned in early 79. And then
79.
we actually drove to Tennessee in September of 79. So
I bet that was beautiful.
We shot it in 79.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I'm going to go back a little bit further here because I found out something that it really intrigued me when I was doing a little bit of research here. So you were a stand-up comedian in Detroit.
I was.
I absolutely love that. That was fantastic to learn about. And you were involved with the Second City in Chicago and stand-up.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So just to give you some context, when I came back from shooting Evil Dead, I was emotionally tormented. And I decided I never wanted to be in another movie ever again because I had no control over my life or anything. And so, I had a lot of fun, but it was psychologically challenging. And, of course, all the physical stuff that we went through. But I decided, because there were so many stand-up comedy places at the time, there were more of them than there were McDonald's, really. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go down on open mic night and try out some funny stuff, what I thought was funny. And turned out it wasn't that funny. The funniest part was that I introduced myself as someone else by mistake. I was so nervous. As like one of the male comedians, I called myself. I was so nervous. But eventually I worked on it. You know, I started going on a regular basis, and some of the guys that were there were very helpful. I was actually dating one of the guys. He was a magician, Mark Kornhauser, and he helped me put together a really strong 10 minutes, which included not only some big laughs, but there was a magic trick in it as well. So there you go. Yeah.
Nice. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So what was it, how did it feel going from your and I'll use the word grueling. A lot of people relate that to grueling. How was it after your grueling filming experience that was so effective emotionally, flipping it and then going to something as comedy? I would picture it would be like going from ice cold water into something warm and comfortable, metaphorically. But what was that experience, being able to flip that and switch it over to the opposite end of the spectrum?
Well, you don't really think about it that in those terms when you're doing it. It was just opportunities that provided me something I love to do, which was, you know, perform, be on stage, go somewhere else in my own mind. So it was fun. I mean, it was a whole different kind of fear when you did stand up. I thought there was fear in making Evil Dead, but nothing like doing stand up comedy. So, you know, I guess I'm a masochist, I guess. I don't know.
I have to imagine how satisfying it must be after you do your set to get the response from the audience. It has to be a wonderful adrenaline rush.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to get to that point. And I had some good shows. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have kept doing it. I did it for about 3 years. I went to Second City and studied there. They had a lot of improv classes. I'm sure you're aware of what they do. And then I started doing stand-up in Chicago. I was mostly just doing opening acts for bigger names than myself. And it was just a lot of fun, traveling around, going to different little cities like in Ohio and Wisconsin, and it was a blast. Just very different than making a movie.
I can imagine. I can imagine how exciting that must have been. Do you remember any of your material, or do you still perform anywhere?
No, I don't still perform, but I still have the magic trick that I used. Who knows? Maybe I will do it again someday. I think about maybe doing like a YouTube thing, because that's what everybody does now.
I think that would be great. Do you have a YouTube channel?
No. I haven't. No, I think about it, but I haven't done anything about it.
If you decide to go ahead and take that plunge, let me know. I would definitely subscribe. I would love to watch.
I've been writing.
You've been writing. That's great. That's another thing I want to ask you about too, since you brought it up. What are some of your most memorable experiences with the Second City?
Oh, I was really there as a student, and there's a famous teacher that everybody who studied there used to talk about. His name was Del Close, and I worked with him a little bit. But it was I was a student. I wasn't working as a performer. I wasn't part of the main stage or anything like that. I just, it was kind of funny because I would drive down on Friday from Detroit, and it's like a 6-hour drive. I don't know if you've ever done that to Chicago.
I have. I've driven to Chicago a couple of times. It seems like it's a very fast drive until you get in Chicago. Then that's where all your traffic and your waiting time is at.
Exactly. So I did that for like a summer, and because I really wanted to learn improv, and then I would work back in Michigan, Detroit area, and then I'd go on the weekends. But eventually I moved and stayed in Chicago, and I ended up doing a pilot there for a production company, and I was co-hosting a show similar to like a Saturday Night Live style, And
Nice.
my co-host was Steve Allen. I don't know why they selected him or me for that matter. But, it was a pilot. It never went anywhere, but it was still kind of cool and exciting to be, to get to that point and, do a show like that. So
yeah,
that was fun.
it sounds exciting. A lot of new opportunities to explore there, for sure. No, let's get into the Evil Dead a little bit here. The Evil Dead Rise is coming out, and I'm sure you've seen the trailer. It's everywhere. What are your thoughts on the Evil Dead Rise as far as the trailer goes, and how do you feel each time there's a new installment that's released?
Well, it looks really scary. I'm not sure I'll be able to tolerate it because I am kind of a big chicken when it comes to scary movies. I even like let's say there's a drama on TV and that there's some character that's required to, I don't know, do something like stab somebody or I have to crawl under the blanket. I say to my husband, tell me when they're done. Tell me when they're done with that. I cannot stand it because I can't stand the memory of it visually in my brain. So
yeah.
I just don't watch it. I don't watch it.
So is it kind of like flashback from your experience filming the original that it triggers?
Well, when we made that movie, it wasn't really scary to make it.
Right.
It was gross because we had to spit things out of our mouth and, wear syrup on our bodies and contact lenses. It was gross. It was hard, but it wasn't scary. So when I don't get that same fear element that maybe somebody who's watching it in a movie would. So, it's just different.
Yeah.
So,
once it's put in post, it definitely comes out as a whole different ballgame.
Exactly.
Yeah. You mentioned writing. You're writing something. What is it that you're working on? Can you share a little bit of information about that?
Oh, I just basically write observations that I find interesting and humorous and try to take note of them, and hopefully someday I'll put it all together into something interesting and funny. I don't know. But that's all. I don't have like a novel or a movie or anything like that lined up yet.
Anything you might plan on with your observations, maybe something that you might plan on organizing and creating, maybe some kind of a memoir or something like that, something that based off of your experiences?
It probably wouldn't be a memoir. If I did anything with it, it would probably just be like a short or some kind of a series, like a web series kind of thing.
Oh, that would be. See, you need a YouTube channel. You have all these things that you could do. You can put some nice content out there and get a lot of subscribers on there. I would be the first in line.
Okay, I'm going to call you and you're going to produce it.
Okay.
Because I'm just a
would
big
be honored.
procrastinator. Yeah.
And I just want my listeners to know that this is I have finally been been requested to produce for a horror icon, Theresa Tilly, also known as AKA Sarah York. And I have to let you know right now, when I interviewed Betsy, she told me that anytime I said your name, I had to put an AKA Sarah York at the end. So just so you know, that's her sense of humor. That's her shining through. She said, "Yeah, you have to call her Theresa Tilly, AKA Sarah York, every time you say her name." So I'm throwing her under the bus with that one.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to her very soon too, which brings up a point. I don't know if this is a good time to mention it, but I'm going to be seeing Betsy very soon.
Oh, wonderful. And can you give some details? Is there something that the fans should know?
I think the fans might want to see her too.
let me go ahead and ask you. Let me segue into the question then here. What do you have coming up that you would like to share with these fans and myself as a fan?
Yes. Well, a few things. We'll start with the most current, and then we'll go, longevity, or not longevity, but further down the road, let's say. So in March, at the end of March, we are going to be at a convention not too far from Detroit called Horror Hound.
Horror Hound. Well, I have heard of it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit of a drive.
Yeah.
It's a great show. If you've never been there, it is crazy. I mean, it's just so much fun. The people that run it just, they really know how to be very entertaining. There will be a lot of reunion types, not fans, but say movies that a lot of the actors will be reuniting. And one of them is going to be Evil Dead. So Bruce is going to be there.
Bruce,
and
awesome.
So will Hal Delridge, who plays Scotty. And Betsy will be there, and me. And I don't know if Alan's coming or not. I haven't really heard.
I'll definitely promote that for you. That is something that, yes, the fans would love to know.
Yeah, and it's close to Michigan, so people might want to get down there. And speaking of shows in Michigan, another show that we have been invited to, but I don't think they've officially announced it yet, is Motor City Nightmares. Yes,
that is 20 minutes from me.
There you go. You don't have to drive to Cincinnati.
No, Motor City Nightmares is my hometown. Where? When is that this year? Do you know? I haven't even gotten that information yet.
It's July 28th.
Oh, so wonderful! That one I will definitely plan to see there.
Down the road. Yeah.
Is that going to be another Evil Dead reunion, or is that going to be?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I will make sure I get that one on there too.
It's already been announced. If you look on their website, Bruce Campbell has been announced, but I don't know that we have been announced yet. So if you don't mind, maybe waiting until...
Yeah,
I don't know if they care or not, really. It's just they want people to know, so,
Yeah, I'll make sure it's safe to share that information. And the minute it is, I will make sure that it is definitely shared. Yes, for sure.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Do you have any other current events or projects that you're working on that you want to promote?
There is a film that is in post-production that I'm not really sure when they're going to be out with it, but it's called Abigail. And it's Abigail. And it's a noir film. And there's things that I think horror fans might like in it. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like a 50s or 40s noir, and it's shot in black and white, and I play Abigail. So
you play? Oh, you're a title character. Nice. Okay.
That's right.
Well, I will do some research on Abigail and see if there's any links for that as well, so we can start promoting that.
I have no idea when they're gonna. Yeah.
Speaking of projects, which has been your favorite so far? Not necessarily characters or movie roles, but as far as like your careers and everything that you've been involved in, what's been your favorite hat to wear?
I like getting involved in some of the production, but I also do like just being an actress. And of course, I did a lot of voiceover for 20 years. I did promos and commercials, and so I like them all for different reasons. I liked doing the voice work because I could, I didn't have to put on the makeup, and I could just go there, and I'd be done like in an hour, and I could come home. So there was definitely some aspects to that do remain at the top of my list. But I do like leaving town and, just going and getting into a character, and that's fun. And theater's fun too, because every night it's a different show, and you just never know what it's
terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It sounds
but
terrifying.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, the same thing as stand-up, And filming too is terrifying too, because even though you can do more takes and things
Right.
like that, there still is that element of like, oh, I want to nail this, you know. So
Yeah.
I would say they're all wonderful, and I feel so grateful that I can make a lifetime out of, you know, doing this crazy, playful stuff.
Have you ever had a supernatural experience? Do you believe in the supernatural?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. No, I just I don't know that I can exactly list something, but I know just not too long ago I was doing an interview with a director who was doing a movie about Gunnar Hansen. He died recently. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh yeah, the Texas Chainsaw. Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing he's doing a documentary about him, and he interviewed myself and Betsy. We had a little bit of a relationship with Gunnar, and it was a funny day. He came over here, the director, Mike Callio, and I was so worried that there was all kinds of noises that were going on in the neighborhood, like somebody was actually taking a drill to cement. I mean, really loud noises. And there seemed to be a lot of airplane stuff going on, and the wind was really blasting, which is unusual for this area. And so I was very concerned that we weren't going to get this recorded and filmed. But he came, and it went beautifully, and we talked about Gunnar, and we had a wonderful moment sharing experiences with him. And then as soon as we were done, the noise started, the wind started. It was crazy. To me, that's like a supernatural experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and a lot of people would say, and I believe this too, sounds, smells, things like that, to me are all messages communicated through the supernatural.
Right.
My grandmother and I used to share lilacs. Now, people say if you smell lilac, that's your grandmother saying, hello to you. So, and I smell lilac even when there's no lilac around. So it's crazy. So, but yeah, I totally believe small signs are big messages. Now we move on to a little speed round here. This is toward the end of our interview. What is your biggest phobia?
I do not like to be underground.
Yes.
Like like the Hoover Dam, for example, when you go down below. Yeah, I really have a thing about going below ground. Like if you go to a tombs or catacombs, I won't know. You won't see me.
No. If your life were made into a horror movie, what would the name of your movie be?
Don't Call Before 9. I don't know.
If you could have dinner with one person, alive or dead, that you've never met, who would it be and why?
I guess it would be Cate Blanchett, and I would like to understand her process for making this most recent movie called Tar.
Our closing question that I ask all of my guests is, what will be your legacy?
Learning to be a mother, even though she's older now, but it's just been a wonderful experience to learn to have a family and how that all works and have a good life together. So that's one thing too.
Thank you so much for coming on here. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I loved all the tidbits of information, and all these things you have coming up are very exciting, and I can't wait to get this shared for you. So listeners, check the description here on YouTube. If you're listening on major streaming platforms such as iHeartRadio or whatever, head over to the Terror Express channel and check out those links. Have a wonderful evening, and thanks again.
Okay, you take care, Jason.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.